He lived most of his life out in the wild, and then at some point, the state determined that he was a potential threat to either people, pets, or livestock, so he had to be removed. So just like any other alligator, he hatched to have an egg just a little bigger than a chicken's egg at only about 6 inches long. Pretty crazy to think that tiny little gecko can turn to that Godzilla-sized animal right there. But to do that, he had to do everything right when he was little. He had to hide, because alligators are pretty much the chicken nuggets of the Everglades when they first hatch out. Everything will eat them, from birds, turtles, bigger alligators. So he had to spend his early years hiding from predators, and in turn hiding from prey, catching food, little things like bugs and minnows when they're small, and of course growing as he ate. Alligators grow about a foot per year for the first 6 years of their life. After that, their growth rate slows down. But at about 6, 7 years old, he was about 6 or 7 foot long and started gaining confidence, because at 6 foot long, alligators don't have much to worry about except for people and larger alligators. So he started gaining confidence, wandering around to different wandering holes, and then about 10 years ago, he found himself on a cattle ranch down in Okeechobee County, Florida, just a little south of here. And the rancher, the owner of this property, realized his little baby cows, his little calves, would go missing from time to time, and he found a giant 13-foot alligator in one of his watering holes. So he couldn't have that. He called the state, FWC, which is our fish and game, issued a trapper to go out and capture Crusher. And luckily for Crusher, this rancher really wanted him to be removed alive. He realized that alligators were a part of Florida. They've been here longer than we have, so he didn't want the alligator to be hurt, which is very, very fortunate for Crusher, because most alligators who are captured under the nuisance program are euthanized and used for their leather. So Crusher originally went to an alligator farm. He lived there for a few years, and then when we heard of his story, we thought it was awesome. We really wanted to showcase him here, so we brought him to the park. He actually lived right behind us in this center pond with all the other alligators. But when we started to do training with our alligators, and I know you're probably looking at me like I have 5 heads, but that's what the show is all about. It's a training show. He was the best at it. He was a real superstar. That's something we really wanted to showcase here. So when it was time to make a new show, we built this bachelor pad for him. And all we had to do to get him in here, we opened that gate, called him in by name, and he's been living in here ever since. And now that you're half asleep for my story, we'll get into the action. So to let Crusher know it's time to move around, we use something called the Wild Florida Gator Call. It sounds like this. Can you guys try that? All right, you look really silly, but you're doing great. So on the count of 3, I want everybody to make that noise as loud as you can. And in theory, whichever side is louder, Crusher should move over to. Now you guys kind of have an unfair advantage. You're kind of cheating. So we're going to call you guys the Patriots. But on the count of 3, everybody make that noise as loud as you can. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I'm just kidding, guys. That doesn't work. You can't train alligators. Thanks for coming. Have a great day. No, I just played. In all seriousness, everybody, that call does work, but usually it works best on the inside of the enclosure. So we're going to send Andrew over there to try to move Crusher around using that same call and a variety of other visual and verbal cues. Now, the reason we do this, the reason we train our alligators, it's very beneficial for a few reasons. First, it's great enrichment for the animal. It's great mental stimulation, really keeps their lives interesting. But also, in the event of a medical emergency, we can ask Crusher to come over to us, which Andrew's doing right now. Here he comes. We can ask him to hold still and work safely around him. So this is actually much less stressful on the animal in the long run, because the alternative to doing this would be having to try to catch him with a rope, hold him down. So it's much less stressful and, believe it or not, a lot safer for all parties involved in the long run. So here he goes. Very nice. All right, where are you going? You're going to go all the way to this side? That's going to take way too long. We're going to speed things up, guys. Don't worry. Andrew has Crocs on. He'll be totally fine. All right, so with Andrew in the water, things should get a lot more interesting. I'm sure you guys know alligators are a lot more physically capable in the water. So we're going to see how this goes. But we ask 3 main things of Crusher. We'll ask him to come over to us. We'll ask him to pick his head up and open his mouth. And then we'll ask him to hold still. And all the training we do here is all with positive reinforcement. So just like any other guy, the quickest way to Crusher's heart is through his stomach. So when he does what we ask of him, he gets rewarded, just like that, with a little bit of food. If he does something weird, or if he tries to bite Andrew or anything like that, He's not going to get punished for that because he's an alligator. He's just doing what alligators do. But we're not going to reward that. We just kind of ignore it and move on to the next thing. And you guys over here can get a great look inside his mouth. He's standing up super tall. Alligators have 80 teeth in their mouth, 40 on top, 40 on the bottom. And they actually lose their teeth all the time. Through a lifetime, they can go through 2,000 to 3,000 teeth. And if that wasn't scary enough, I don't know if you guys heard that little pop. That was a very small one, probably only about 10% of what he's capable of. Alligators and crocodiles have the strongest jaws of any animal ever measured. A full-grown alligator can have about 2,500 pounds per square inch crushing power. So you really don't want to be inside that mouth when it closes. And being a top predator, he does like to see just how much he can get away with. So he's being a little pushy here. All right, so that hold command can be used for very important things, like if we ever had to draw blood from him, or you can use it for really stupid stuff like this. Kids, stay in school. All right, very good job. So Andrew's going to try to move him to the other side of the pool so you guys can take a better look. Now, it is important to remember, as we're doing this show, even though Crusher is usually pretty well behaved, he is more or less a trained alligator. He is not a tamed alligator, and that's because there is no such thing. Even though Crusher, he'll do this routine because he understands he gets fed for it, he is still a wild animal, and like I just mentioned, he likes to see just how much he can get away with. And he's being a little tricky right now. So a big part of being in here and doing this show is being able to read him. So right now, he's being a little weird. He's sitting low in the water column. So Andrew's really got to kind of keep his eye out for any potential lunges. All right. And right on cue, here we go. He's getting ready for his big stunt. How many of you guys want to see Andrew put his head in Crusher's mouth? What? Only like 2 people? It's not like NASCAR? You're not just here for the crash? All right, well, for my couple of gung-ho fans out there, we're going to do this for you. All right, for this, it's going to be tricky. Crusher's got to open his mouth up wide. Andrew kind of has a big head. All right, here we go. Actually, can I get your wallet first, buddy? No, we're just playing. Our insurance does not let us do that anymore after what happened to Kevin. No, he's not going to put his head in his mouth. He's going to put a hat on his head, because who doesn't love fashion? But in all seriousness, everybody, this is a testament to how good he is with that hold command. Putting a hat on an alligator's head, not something I recommend. If you are able to get close enough, you're probably going to get your arm ripped off. But as long as we ask him to hold still, he will. And the reason for it is that right there. So alligators do have a very small brain, even on one this size. His brain is only about as big as a walnut, but the portion of the brain responsible for learning, the cerebral cortex, is very well developed, so they pick up on patterns very, very quickly. Do I want to get in the water? Not really.
Yeah!
That was way more people than the head trick. All right. I guess I'm getting in the water with my buddy here. Now, I think what we're going to try to work on here is one of the practical reasons for this training. As I mentioned earlier, one of the reasons we do this is in the event of a medical emergency, we can give him health care. So what I'm going to do right now is simulate a blood draw. If a vet was to come in here and draw blood or give Crusher an injection, what he would do, alligators have a vein that runs on the bottom of their tail all the way down. So I'm going to take my key, it's not sharp or anything, but I'm just going to simulate a blood draw. So I'm going to take my key, just rub it in between his scales. That way he gets nice and used to it, and in an emergency situation, it's not the first time he's seen it, so he'll remain nice and calm. So he can feel me right now. It doesn't hurt him, but he is reacting. But he's doing really, really well holding there, so he'll get rewarded. Very nice. Now, to kind of up the wow factor, alligators are very sensitive to water movement. They have these little sensory organs all over their face because they want to be able to pick up vibration in the water. So what I'm going to try to do right now is act like a distressed animal, a fallen animal that's just fallen into the water, and we'll see if his natural instinct will be curbed, and if he'll stay right there with his focus on Andrew, or if he'll turn around and try to eat me. So once he kind of sets up nice, we'll go for it. You ready? All right, here we go. Help! Help! I fallen and I can't get up! Life alert! And he's doing really well, but I'm going to get out of here because I don't have any chicken. Nice. All right, so what I think we're going to try to do next for you guys is something that is relatively new to the show. We've only been doing this for maybe not even a month now. We're going to try to get him to jump out of the water. Now, this is a kind of cooler day. Alligators are cold-blooded animals, and that just means that all of their bodily functions have to do with the temperature. So because it's a little cooler, we'll see if he's going to have the motivation to jump out of the water. But a lot of people will see him kind of moving around slowly and forget that he's an apex predator that's capable of doing big things. So we're going to try to get him to jump out of the water. Here we go. Let's see if he... Oh, there it is. And he made his pond a tidal pool. Very good. How much chicken do you have left, buddy? All right, he's got one last piece. So I think he's going to try to do one last thing for you guys. And then he's going to have to beat a hasty retreat. All right, here we go. Let's see what they have in mind for us. He's asking him to pick his head up out of the water. Oh, I think he's going to go for the kiss of death or the close shave. Kind of depends how it goes. All right, here we go. He's asking him to hold still. Aww, isn't that cute? And that is not the weirdest thing Andrew's ever kissed, everybody. All right, he's out of chicken, so he's going to get out of there. A big round of applause to Andrew and Crusher working side by side. Awesome job. But he's going to get away from that alligator, which brings us to the topic of getting away from alligators. So if you ever find yourself being chased by one of these big reptiles, what do you think you have to do?
Run.
Yes, run. It wasn't a trick question. But don't run zigzags. We hear that almost every single day. Alligators can actually turn on a dime doing their top speed, and their eyes set on the side of the head. So by running zigzags, you're pretty much just asking if the alligator is a lefty or righty. So if you're ever being chased, just run fast in a straight line. And if you're not fast, just trip the person next to you. You'll be fine. But folks, that wraps up the show. We hope you enjoyed it. The next and final show of the day is going to be right across the walkway, our 4 o'clock exotic animal show. We hope to see everybody there, and have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
He's giving him the last piece of chicken. Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. I'll back it up. Go ahead.